Hey everybody, Jim and Siri here. You know, in chapter 8, I talked about the cow graveyard and all of the buzzards. I was going down this winding path, actually this winding path, and I came across this 100+ buzzards on this horse carcass in the woods. I'm gonna take you there now. Come on. So this is the cow graveyard, and even though you can't really tell it because of all the growth in the summer, there are bones all over this place. And whenever I come by this trail, I always think about a couple of Bible stories. One is the story of Samson, where he takes the jawbone of a donkey and he defeats his enemies. And the other is the story that I told about in Ezekiel, both miraculous movements of God. God transports Ezekiel to this valley of dry bones, and I mean, it's dead. Everything there is just death and decay. And he asks Ezekiel an interesting question. He says, Ezekiel, can these bones live again? Now, if anybody else was asking that question, the obvious answer would be no way. But this is God. And Ezekiel has this great answer. He says, Lord, only you know the answer to that. That's pretty good. That shows humility and faith, because Ezekiel knows when God shows up, anything can happen. Now, in your life, if you're like a lot of us, you probably have something dead, dry bones, dying in your own circumstances. It might be a relationship with your children, or a marriage, or a church, or a business. And humanly speaking, you look at that thing and you think, it's dead. There's no resurrection possible. But Jesus specializes in that. When God shows up, anything can happen. You know, I got some buddies in some other countries, and sometimes when I'm talking with them, they tell me about some of the miracles, the supernatural miracles that they've seen take place. And honestly, I think I've seen a few, but I haven't seen as many as they're talking about. And I often wonder, why is that? Is it because that they have more faith than we do? Maybe. Is it because the need is greater? It seems to be. A lot of these countries are third world. But another factor I think to put in there is, I think they ask more often than we do. Now, I'm not trying to make this oversimplistic. I'm not saying just pray a simple prayer and anything dead in your world is going to come back to life. God doesn't promise that. This is a broken world. People still die. People still get cancer. People still, they desert their marriages. I mean, it's hard things that happen because this is a broken world. But here's something I do believe. God has the power to bring the dead back to life. And number two, he doesn't mind us asking. In fact, the Bible tells us to. There's some great scriptures. One in the Old Testament in Isaiah, it says, when you pass through the waters, I'll be with you. When you go through the fire, I'm going to be there. And then in Hebrews, we have that great promise, I will never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I don't know what you're going through. If you're going through a hard time, remember, we serve a God who specializes in resurrection. See you next time.